So, good morning, everybody. Let us continue our chapter, The Gift of Chappals. Yesterday, we have studied how Mridu visited her cousins with her grandmother. They have found there a kitten, and very humorously, her cousins have named that kitten as Mahendra Varman, and he has associated the kitten's name with the old king Mahendra Varman. Let us continue what next in the story. So Mridu crept up to the window. Lali was sitting a little distance away, awkwardly holding her violin and bowstring, her elbows jutting out and her eyes glazed with concentration. Her cousin Lali was learning to play violin. Her guru used to come there to teach her how to play an violin. As an apprentice, she was unable to play well. So the kids are there to see how she is learning playing on the violin. So Mridu crept up to the window. So very secretly, Mridu reached to the window of the room where Lali, her cousin, was sitting a little distance away. Sitting at a little distance from the window, awkwardly. Her sitting posture was not proper, it looked quite awkward, typical. She was holding her violin and bowstring. She has got hold of her violin and bowstring, the wires on the violin. Her elbows jutting out. Her elbows were pointing outwards and her eyes glazed with concentration. Her eyes were shining with a lot of concentration. She has paid full attention on the violin. In front of her, with most of his back to the window, in front of Lali, with most of his back to the window, was the bony figure of the music master. The music master was also sitting in front of Lali. His back was towards the window. He had a mostly bald head with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears. So the music master was quite thin. He had a bony figure. He had mostly bald head. There were mostly no hair on his head. A fringe of oiled black hair. Just a small lock of oily black hair was falling around his ears. And an old-fashioned tub. That posture looked quite old. A gold chain gleamed around his leathery neck. He was wearing a gold chain that was shining at his neck, and a diamond ring glittered on his hand as it glided up and down the stem of the violin. As the music master was playing on the violin, his diamond ring was shining as he was moving his hand up and down. A large foot stuck out from beneath his gold bordered vestiaise. A large foot stuck out, came out from below his gold bordered sari, dhoti. He was wearing a typical Tamil sari, dhoti, and he was beating time on the floor with the scrawny big toe. And he was uh, moving his toes on the floor with the music of the violin. In few words, we can say the music teacher was teaching violin to Lali. As far as his appearance is concerned, he looked a typical music teacher, a very thin figure, and was wearing a Tamil dhoti and a gold chain and a very shining ring. He played a few notes. He played few notes on the violin. Lali stumbled behind him on her violin. Lali followed him on her violin, which looked quite helpless. Lali's violin looked quite helpless and unhappy in her hands because Lali was not able to play as skillfully as the music master was. What a difference! What a great difference! Same violin, but in different hands and different music. The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. The music teacher's notes seemed to float, seemed to glide, and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. Or we can say, the music teacher's violin produced a very sweet music with his fingers. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly into the rails and whizzing along. As Ravi said, as Ravi said, it seemed when the music teacher played on his violin, it seemed that the wheels of a train have fitted well on the rails and produced a whizzing sound, a musical sound. Mradu stared at that huge, variant hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem, making lovely music. Mrdu stared. Mrdu was looking hard at the huge, ringed hand of the music teacher, moving up and down the body of the violin and producing a beautiful, lovely, soothing music. Squawk! There was Lali's derailing again. Again, Lali lost the track on the violin and she produced a different noise, a creaking noise. She lost her track on the violin. Amma came a wail from the gate. Amma, oh. Suddenly they heard a noise, a cry at the gate. Someone was calling, Amma, Amma. Ravi, send that beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda. Her mother was sitting at the back of the veranda, and from there she told Ravi to send that beggar away. There was a beggar at the door. There was a beggar begging at the door, where she was chatting with Tapi. Her mother was chatting with Murdu's grandma, and from there only she said to Ravi to send that beggar away And she also added, he has been coming here every day for the past week. That for the last whole week he is coming daily here, and it's time he found another house to beg from. It's better now he should go to other house for begging. Party explained to Tapi. Party gave her explanation to Tapi that this beggar is coming daily. Now I can no longer feed him. He should go and beg from some other house. Mridu and Meena followed Ravi out. As Ravi went out, Mridu and Meena also went out. The beggar was already in the garden, making himself quite at home. They saw the beggar was at garden. He has already made himself comfortable. He was sitting there. He had spread his upper cloth under the neem tree, the cloth which he has covered himself. He has spread that at the neem tree and was leaning against its trunk. He has taken the support of the neem tree's trunk and was there. Apparently, clearly, he was prepared to take a little snooze. He was ready to take a little nap, sleep, while he waited for the arms to appear. For the time he was waiting for the arms or the food or something else from the house to come, he wanted to take a small nap, a short sleep. Go away, said Ravi sternly. Very strictly, Ravi said, go away. My Pati says it's time you found another house to beg from. He told the beggar that my grandmother has said, better you go and find some other place, some other house to beg for. The beggar opened his eyes very wide and gazed at each of the children one by one. The beggar was surprised. He opened his eyes very wide. He looked at the children one by one. The ladies of this house, he said, at last, in a voice choked with feeling, are very kind souls. He said in a very emotional tone, emotional way, he said, the females in this house are very kind, very affectionate, very helping. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. For a whole week, I have fed myself because of their generosity or because of their kindness. I cannot believe that they would turn me away. I can't believe that they have asked me to go away and find some other house. He raised his voice again. Amma, Amma, oh. He thought the children are just joking. So again he started crying out, Amma, Amma. Sad his wail might be, though his cries this time were quite sad, but it certainly wasn't feeble. But it was not weak. It was not in a low tone. It began in a deep, strong rumble somewhere in his withered belly. This time, his wails, his cries were quite strong and started rumbling, echoing in his belly, in his stomach, and came booming out of his mouth and came out with a strong sound, with its few remaining teeth stained brown with betel chewing. He was habitual of chewing betel nuts, that is, supari, and his teeth were covered with red marks, the marks of betel chewing. Ravi, tell him there is nothing left in the kitchen, called Rukumani. Rukumani called from inside. She said, Ravi, tell this man, tell this beggar, there is nothing in the kitchen. And he is not to come again. Tell him that. She sounded fed up. She sounded quite fed up, troubled. And she said to Ravi, ask this beggar to not to come again. Ravi did not have to repeat it all to the beggar because what his mother said had been easy for them all to hear. Because his mother shouted so loudly that the beggar himself could hear. The beggar sat up and sighed. The beggar who was getting ready to take a short nap. Now he sat up and he took a long breath of grief. And he said, I'll go, I'll go. He said wearily, very tiredly, he said, very weakly, he said, only let me have a rest here under this tree. Please allow me to take a rest under this tree for some time. The sun is so hot. He said, the sun is shining so hot. The tar has melted on the road. The chemical on the road has melted due to heat of the sun. My feet are already blistered. I already have blisters on my feet. Blisters are burning marks on the skin. He stretched out his feet to show large pink peeling blisters on the soles of his bare feet. As he was not wearing anything on his feet were bare, he has no chappals. So he showed to the children how wounded his feet were. I suppose he does not have the money to buy chappals, Mridu whispered to Meena and Ravi. So Mridu, when she saw his feet, she said in a very low voice to her cousin that I think he does not have any money to buy chappals. Have you got an old pair in the house somewhere? And she asked if there was some old chappals in the house. I don't know, said Ravi. Ravi said, I don't know. Mine are too small to fit his feet. My chappals are very small, or I would have given them to him. He said, my chappals are too small, otherwise I would have given mine. And his feet were larger than Mridu's and Meena's also. The size of his feet was larger than the other two kids. The beggar was shaking out his upper cloth and tightening his dhoti. The beggar was shaking. He was cleaning his upper cloth in the air and he was tightening his dhoti. He raised his eyes and looked fearfully at the road. He looked towards the road, very afraid to walk on the road barefoot as it was very hot, gleaming in the afternoon heat. The road was gleaming, shining because of the heat. He needs something on his feet, Meena said, her big eyes filling. It's not fear. Meena said, it's not fear. This person needs something to wear in his feet. And Ravi said, he said, keep silent. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking a way out. Blubbering, it's not fear. He was muttering, speaking something not in a clear voice. He said, it's not fear, it's not fear. It isn't going to help. In 2 minutes, he will be frying his feet on that road. He said if he will walk barefoot on the road, his feet will be fried due to the hot. What he needs is a pair of chappals. So where do we get them? He was thinking he needs a pair of chappals, and where can we get it? Come, let us search the house. He pushed Mridu and Meena into the house. They rushed inside the house and said, let us find out somewhere. Just as she stepped into the veranda, Mridu's eyes fell on the odd-looking chappals she had noticed when she arrived. As she stepped inside the veranda, she could see the chappals which she have already noticed. She had already noticed when she has arrived the house. Ravi, she whispers to him, whose are those? She said, Ravi, whose are these chappals? Ravi turned and glanced at the shabby looking but sturdy old sleeper. Ravi looked at those dirty looking, very roughly used hard chappals. He beamed and nodded. His face shone with success and he nodded. These are just the right size, he said. This is the right size for the beggar. Picking them up, he picked those chappals in his hand. Murdu and Meena followed him nervously back into the garden, and all the three kids rushed back to the garden. Here, said Ravi to the beggar, dropping the sleepers in front of the old man. Ravi placed those old chappals in front of the beggar and said, here, take these chappals. Wear these and don't come back. Wear these chappals and don't come back here. The beggar stared at the sleepers. The beggar looked at the sleepers, hurriedly flung his towel over his shoulder. In a hurry, very soon, he placed his towel over his shoulder, pushed his feet into them. He wore those sleepers and left, muttering a blessing to the children. While moving, he blessed the kids for the timely help. In a minute, he had vanished around the corner of the street, and very soon he disappeared around the corner of the street, corner of the road. The music master came out of the house and took an unappreciative look at the three of them sitting quietly under the tree. When the music master came out, he saw the three children sitting under the tree. He looked at them and he did not appreciate the ways they were sitting. They were playing marbles. The children were playing with small stones. Then he searched for his chappals in the veranda where he had put them. Then he looked for his chappals in the veranda where he had placed. Lali, he called. After a few moments, he called Lali. She hurried up to him. She hurriedly came to him. Have you seen my chappals, my dear? He asked if she has seen his chappals. I remember having kept them here. And the music teacher said, I have placed the chappals here. Ravi, Mridu and Meena silently watched Lali and the music master search every corner of the veranda. The three kids sitting there were looking the situation very closely, watching the situation very closely as Lali and the music teacher were searching for the chappals. He scurried around, he moved around, looking over the railing and crouching near the flower pots to look between them. He bent down, looked around the flower pots. Brand new they were. And the music teacher started lying. He said, the chappals were brand new. I went all the way to Mount Road to buy them. I bought those chappals from Mount Road. They cost a whole month's fees, do you know? My chappals costed me the whole week's fees. Whole month's fees. Soon Lali went in to tell her mother that music teacher's chappals were missing. Rukumani appeared, looking harassed, looking very disturbed, with Pati following her. Where could they be? Where could the chappals be? It's really quite upsetting to think someone might have stolen them. Just to think that someone has stolen the chappals. So many vendors come to the door, worried Pati. Pati said so many beggars and other vendors selling different things come to the door. Someone might have taken away. Rukamani caught sight of Ravi, Mridu and Meena sitting under the tree. At the same time, Rukamani could see the three children sitting under the tree. Have you children? She began, and then, seeing they were Curiously quiet, went on more slowly. She doubted them because they were sitting very much quiet. She went to them and asked, "Seen anyone lurking around the veranda? Have you seen anyone moving around the veranda here?" A sharp V shaped line had formed between her eyebrows. She was thinking seriously. There were lines on her forehead. Another straight, tighter one appeared in place of her usual soft, pleasant mouth. This time she was in a stricter tone. She said, "Rukamani was angry. She was not happy," thought Mridu with a shiver. Mridu was afraid. She would not be so upset if she knew about the poor beggar with sores on his feet. She tried to tell herself. And she told herself that if you could see the wounds on the feet of the beggar, she would not be so upset. Taking a deep breath, she cried, "Rukumani, there was a beggar here. Poor thing, he had such boils on his feet." And mustering her courage, he said, "Rukumani, there was a beggar. He had wounds on his feet." "So," said Rukumani, grimly turning to Ravi. Turning towards Ravi, she said, "So what? You gave the music master's chappals to that old beggar who turns up here? It does not mean that you have given those chappals to the old beggar." "Children these days," groaned Pati. Pati complained. "The children these days are unimaginable. Amma, didn't you tell me about Karna who gave away everything he had? Even his gold earrings, he was so kind and generous." She said, "Amma, even you have told me that the great king Karan gave everything to his people, even his gold rings. He donated everything he had. He was so kind, he was so generous. Then even can't we give our sleepers to a beggar?" "Silly, stop it," snapped Rukumani. "Karna did not give away other people's things. He only gave away his own." Rukumani said, "Karan did not give other people's things. He gave only what his own was, what he belonged to himself. But my chappals would not have fitted the beggar's feet," Ravi rushed brashly on. Very boldly Ravi said, "My chappals would not have fitted the feet of the beggar. And Amma, if they did fit, would you really not have minded? And suppose my chappals would have fitted the beggar's feet, even then also you would have complained?" Ravi said, Rukumani very angry now. Rukmani was very angry. "Go inside now." She hurried indoors and brought out Gopu Mama's hardly worn new chappals. She went inside the house, brought Gopu Mama's new chappals, which has hardly been worn in time. "These should fit you, sir. Please put these on. I am so sorry. My son has been very naughty." She apologized the music teacher and gave the chappals, and begging her pardon, she said, "Please wear these chappals." The music master's eyes lit up. His eyes were shining. He put them on, trying not to look too happy. He wore those chappals, though he was very happy, but he did not show his happiness. "Well, I suppose these will have to do. These days children have no respect for elders. What to do?" So now he wore the chappals, and he also slammed the kids for their mischief. A Hanuman incarnate. Only Rama can save such a naughty fellow. He said, all these are the incarnation of Hanuman, Only Bhagwan Ram can save these people, not a children. Rukumani's eyes flashed. She was angry. She did not seem to like Ravi being called a monkey. She did not like the music teacher to call her kids monkey, even a holy monkey. Though the music teacher called Ravi Hanuman. Hanuman was a monkey, though he was a holy one. But she didn't like that. She stood stiff and straight by the front door. She was angry. She stood there. It was clear she wanted him to leave quickly. It was clear she wanted the music teacher to leave quickly that place. When he had clattered off in his new chappals, he said, when the music teacher, had gone away, clattering his new chappals, making sound of new chappals, Mridu, come in and have some tiffin. She called Mridu to have some breakfast. Honestly, how do you children think of such things? Thank God your Gopu Mama does not wear his chappals to work. And she said, thank God today your Mama has not worn these chappals, otherwise it would have been very difficult. As she walked towards the kitchen with Mridu and Meena, she suddenly began to laugh. And now she was happy. She was laughing. But he was always in such a hurry to throw off his shoes and socks and get into his chappals as soon as he comes home. But he is always in a very hurry. As soon as he enters the house, he throws off his shoes and wears chappals. What's your mama going to say this evening when I tell him I gave these chappals to the music master? And she said, what your mama is going to tell me today evening when I will tell him that I have given his chappals to the music teacher. And this is the story. The story tells us how important the kindness is, how kind the kids were, though they made a mistake by giving their guests chappals to the beggar, but still they have a kind heart. So, and now we can do the question answers. These are the questions. You could write the answers of these questions. Thank you.